Hard Parking Podcast. The Other Side of the Wheel brought to you by Right Honda out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jay Finning. If you're new to the show, every other week I have a long show and a short show. Coming up this week is Barrett Jackson, and I have a special guest. Cody Walker will be joining us to talk about his Civic Type R, Reach Out Worldwide organization, and we'll get into a little bit of Fuel Fest talk. Also coming up is Jerry Pacheco, local Civic Type R owner. In case you guys haven't figured out, there's a theme going on because of the auction at Barrett Jackson this week. All that and more right after a word from 4Wheel Online. As a lot of you guys know, my daily driver is a 2007 Infiniti FX35 Sport. It's about time I put some money into it. Can't just drive the NSX around all the time looking nice. Want to get some wheels? For over a decade, 4Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. They're dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any maker model on the road. Their truck products cover everything you need for a custom look and added functionality. I was talking about a wheel and tire package. Head over and use their configuration tool. They carry all the major brands of wheels and tires, so go get outfitted today. Visit them at 4Wheel Online. That's 4Wheel, singular, online. I gotta tell you, I need to change up that commercial spot, because I've spent the last couple weeks really aggressively looking for a new daily driver, and I finally found one. So this weekend, I'm going to be flying to Kentucky, and I will be driving that thing back. That's like a 27-hour drive. So I need to switch up the 4Wheel Online commercial. You know, once I sell my Infiniti FX35 Sport. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you so much. For all you people who have returned, thank you for coming back to the podcast. Go ahead and hit subscribe or follow or whatever the hell. I think Apple has changed what they're doing. Spotify, you can only follow. I don't think you can subscribe. And join us over at Hard Parking Violations, which is a Facebook group. Free to join, of course, because it's Facebook. Have a lot of fun over there. I don't want to tell you guys what I'm picking up as my daily. You'll find out. So without any delay, we're just going to jump right into Cody Walker. Cody Walker, welcome to the Hard Parking Podcast. Thank you so much for making the time.
I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course. Like I teased in the beginning of the episode, Barrett Jackson's this week, number 51 of 600, Phoenix Yellow, Honda Civic Type R from Right Honda. Wanted to get you on to talk about it because you're going to come out here. Tell us why the Civic Type R is so special.
Well, I mean, I own one. I have it's such a good car. I picked up a 2020, so this last year, which of course is the refresh year for the Type R. And I've always been a fan of wagons and hatchbacks.
Sure.
I'm one of those guys. I've always thought when a car is offered as a sedan or a hatch or a sedan or a wagon, I'm always going to be drawn towards the hatch or the wagon variant of that car. And I guess the bonus to that too is they're so practical at the same time. But always been a fan of the cars. I had a 64 Nova wagon. That was my first car. Had a 350 in it, 3-speed, 3 on the tree. Thing was awesome. I had a Volkswagen GTI back in the day. Great little car. But I've just always been drawn to those. And the Type R is just like value for money. When
Sure.
You're talking about new, and we're like apples to apples, you can't compare old cars.
Sure.
You're talking about purchasing something new. And granted, you got to find a dealer who's willing to work with you because the markups on these things can be insane. But if you can get it for the right price, the performance that you get in the Type R is just absolutely phenomenal. And I was cross-shopping all the usual suspects before I picked mine up. Focus RS.
Sure.
RIP Focus RS. Golf R, Subaru STI, which unfortunately they don't offer as a hatch anymore. Were the ones I was really looking hard at. I own a Honda S2000. It's not necessarily because I'm a Honda. It is my favorite car.
Yeah.
That's my baby. It's fully track prepped. It's rear wheel drive, which is just fantastic. And I'm not like a super brand loyal guy. It just so happens that the two cars in my life right now that I couldn't pass up happen to be Hondas. But the Type R it's phenomenal. And it's got 4 doors. I got 2 kids now. It's super practical, tons of mods out there for it now. And it's just the company that it's in, as far as the performance that you get is just really incredible. So I'm a big fan of the car, and I'm super excited about the limited edition. that we have the opportunity to auction off at Barrett-Jackson.
Yeah, this week on the 25th. I drove a Civic Type R for the first time probably a couple months ago. A friend of mine threw me the keys. He's one of those people where you get in certain circles and they're like, here, drive the car for a minute. I came over and borrowed the car for like an hour, and I was just so impressed with how it drove and the clutch and how easy it was to shift. I was like, holy shit, I cannot believe how easy this thing is to drive.
It's really easy to live with. And some of the problems you get with hot hatches, I guess perfect example would have been the Focus RS, is a lot of those cars like that, they're over dampened and they ride terrible on our crappy roads in California. And when you get in that Type R, you realize like, man, this is really livable. And then you put it into race mode, the R+ mode, thinking that your teeth are going to jump out of your head, and it's really composed. They spend a lot of time tuning the suspension on the car. You know, like I mentioned, I had a Mark 6 GTI. You drive that car and you're very aware that it's front wheel drive, right? And
Sure.
I had a tune on that, and like tons of torque steer and all of that to go along with the front wheel drive. And they just did, Honda did a sweet job. I mean, it really, the way that car wants to rotate too in the canyons, it's unreal. You go, this is front wheel drive, huh? Like it's like the master class of front wheel drive cars. I think it's like the pinnacle of front wheel drive.
It really is.
Yeah.
Barrett-Jackson coming up this week. That's not all that's going on. So we have the auction, and a portion of the proceeds are going to go to Reach Out Worldwide. Tell us why Reach Out Worldwide exists. Tell us why it's important.
Yeah, so for those that are listening, don't know what Reach Out Worldwide is. It's a charity organization. It's a non-government organization that was founded by my brother Paul Walker back in January of 2010. So we've been around for over 11 years now, which is a huge milestone for us. But what we do is we actually put groups of volunteers together coming from various backgrounds, you know, professionals in construction related fields, medical professionals when we're doing medical missions, and general, you know, just people that just want to do the hard labor. We come into communities that have been hit by natural disasters, tornadoes, wildfires, earthquakes, tropical storms, hurricanes, all of that. And we come in to these communities that have been devastated, and we start with the process of clearing out home sites, taking down dangerous trees, clearing roadways, and supply distribution as well. And so that's what we focus on here in the United States. That's predominantly what we do. And internationally, we'll do medical missions. So we'll have a team of medical professionals, doctors, nurses, paramedics, EMTs, and we do medical clinics to help people after disasters. And it's really special. There's a lot of other organizations out there that don't necessarily put the boots on the ground, which is what we do. We come in, we're nimble, and we put the work in on the ground there. And it's just a really special group of people. We accept volunteers from all over the world. It's grown. I mean, we're a small organization, but we make a big impact, and it's all because of our grassroots donors and our partners. Because like I said, we're not a government organization. So we're not taking money from the government. We're not answering to the government. We're helping people where they need the help the most.
I have a couple follow-ups to that. Number one, that sounds, even with donorship and everything, that sounds like it could be incredibly expensive to run, which is why you need more proceeds and more people to learn about it and to contribute and donate. And then number two, how does the organization go about picking where to land the boots?
Yeah, great questions. It's extremely costly and expensive to do this type of work. Obviously, there's logistics of getting things around, whether it's supplies, whether it's volunteers with special skill sets that we might need to travel in, lodging, all of that sort of thing. So it is very costly. So it's very important that we have our supporters, our donors, and our partners, which is why it's super cool to see Wright Honda come in to want to actually auction off this limited edition Type R and help Reach Out Worldwide with some of the proceeds of the sale of the car. So super grateful for that. Super cool opportunity. And I mean, like I said, I'm a Type R owner, so I know how great the car is, and it's just a perfect fit. Super fun thing for me to get behind and kind of spread the word on. To your other question, how do we figure out where to put the boots on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Great question, because obviously there's things that are occurring all the time, right?
Right. Everywhere.
It's everywhere. So we have to look at a number of factors. We have to look at, number one, the safety of our team and where we're sending them. Of course, there are always going to be risks and dangers involved in doing this type of work, but it is something that we have to weigh. We want to make sure we're not, putting our volunteers in any unnecessary risk areas. So that's something we have to consider. The next thing we'd have to consider is, based on our resources and our skills and what we bring to the table, is are they going to be used to the best of its ability? We can't just respond to everything just to say, hey, look what we did. We responded here, and be wasting resources. So it's very much, are we going to actually contribute to making this area better, or do we need to hold back because this is just not our specialty, it's not our expertise, and we're not going to be able to pull off a successful mission? So that's another thing to consider for us. That's the biggest one we have to consider. And then we also, the thing that we pride ourselves on that we're always looking for is communities that have been largely forgotten. So
love it.
We were just most recently, we were doing a lot of work up here in the Pacific Northwest. They had all the wildfires stretching, from California, Oregon, Washington. And there's some communities here, Otis and Blue River, where they had been devastated by these fires. Whole communities wiped out. And a lot of the resources were going to some of the bigger towns and cities. And it's these little towns that don't get those resources.
They're harder to rebuild.
They're hard. They're much harder to rebuild. Often there's not a lot of money in these communities. The media comes in, they get their story, the shock and awe and all this stuff. They get their story, the cameras go away, and then everybody forgets. So what we pride ourselves in is finding these communities that are left on their own, and we come in there and try to make things better for them. So
that's fantastic, and it's no wonder that Right Honda hooked up with you guys, with Jane. She's the biggest philanthropist. Her and actually, not talk about somebody who's not here, but Sean. But her and Sean are the two biggest philanthropists I know. Throwing you in the mix now, because there's so much you guys do, and you have to. So like with Reach Out Worldwide, what I've heard is you have to appreciate and know that you can make a difference, and don't do it just for the clout chasing. Like if you can't really help the people, then that's a decision that has to be made before you move forward.
Absolutely. I mean, we're a small organization that has this outward appearance of being much larger than we are. Is number one. I mean, we're active. We're doing stuff all the time. I wish we just had unlimited resources to do everything, but we are as effective as we could possibly be. We don't have much overhead. We don't have a huge office building. We don't have a ton of employees. It's literally a skeleton crew of just really great people that make the whole thing possible. And obviously in conjunction with the volunteers that give up their time away from their businesses and their families because they want to make a difference and they believe in Reach Out Worldwide and our cause. And a lot of them see firsthand the work that we do, and they just come back time and time again. And it is the coolest feeling in the world when you see these repeat faces on different deployments that we do. It just feels so good. Such a cool group of people.
Making a difference is huge too. It's one of the things I used to have on one of my Instagrams. I have several, but one of my Instagrams, it's like, make a difference or don't. And I think to the people who are out there actually trying to do something, it doesn't matter what it is, do something in your community, you're making a difference. And if you don't do anything, you're not making a difference. Do you have time to talk about Fuel Fest a little bit? Because that's coming up.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about Fuel Fest.
So I think it's in May out here in Phoenix.
It is no,
Or is
it's
it April?
not, and I
May?
apologize if it hasn't been updated on the website
Did it
yet.
get moved again?
Unfortunately, yes. There's reasons behind that. I could briefly speak on that. But what we could do first is the Arizona Fuel Fest event is going to be this year. We're going to be moving it though to the fall.
Okay.
And we are looking really hard at October. And that was a very difficult decision that we had to make with number one, the venue, who've been wonderful to work with throughout this whole process. I mean, this pandemic obviously has affected the entire world.
100%.
And large gatherings, putting on large events like this is just about the worst thing.
Yeah.
for the last year now. So we've had to move that date a couple times, but we are looking at October to have an event out there. I think the summertime, things will be back in flux, but it's just going to be too hot out there in Arizona.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're going to push it to the fall. But we do have our LA event that was also postponed, but I have a date I can share on that, which is going to be June 19th. That's still going to be at Irwindale Speedway. Anybody that is a current ticket holder, their ticket will be honored at the shows, so they don't have to worry about that at all. And we're really looking forward to that. That's going to be a killer event. I think everybody is starving to return back to some amount of normalcy. And we'll be out there celebrating car culture, having a great time. And part of what makes the Fuel Fest shows awesome too, just to bring it back around to Reach Out Worldwide, is a portion of the shows also benefit ROWW. So we've only had a couple Fuel Fest shows, but we've raised over $100,000 for Reach Out Worldwide in the show. So it's a twofold thing. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. But cars are my passion. ROWW is my passion, and so tying those in was a must for me. I wasn't going to do that without having ROWW benefit. So June 19th, LA, Arizona is going to be in the fall, and we're working on an October date, and I hope to be able to share that with everybody really soon.
Crossing my fingers, hoping it happens, because it was postponed twice last year, and it 100% makes sense. You knew it was going to happen, and I mean, hell, it's March. It's almost the end of March, and it's Barrett Jackson. Usually that's January. And everything got pushed back, and SEMA got pushed back last year, and who really knows? Hell, I don't even know if Monterey Car Week is still going to happen. I think it's still planned, but that got 86 last year too. So,
right, which is a disappointment. I love going to Monterey Car Week. That's a good time.
Yeah. So with Fuel Fest, although unfortunately it's been postponed out here, but it's why that event? Because that event seems like it's going to be something unlike anything we've ever seen here. And just looking at the hype in the media, it just looks like it's going to be such a cool event. Whoever gets to have it when it happens, why did that thing get born, I guess?
Well, I mean, I just, my passions, right, is cars and the work that Reach Out Worldwide does. I wanted to create something that, number one, selfishly was going to be fun for me.
Of course. If it's not fun, why do
cars,
it? Yeah.
Right. And second of all, how could I create something that, number one, is going to be just a blast, because it's just cars. I mean, I love all cars. I love the JDM. I love the Euro. I love the off-road stuff. I mean, it's got a motor in it.
Yep.
And it's got tires. I'm in. And so I was just, they say do what you love, and I wanted to create something that could also benefit ROWW. And I just, I live this culture, this car culture. I'm doing stuff all the time. All my buddies are car guys, and it just seemed like an absolute no-brainer. It's like, dude, I know some of the most awesome people that are car people. They're also philanthropists. I live in a place that is so rich in car culture. How do I create an event that celebrates all of that, but is not just a car show, that's also bringing in aspects of motorsport too? Yep. So it's drifting, drag racing, and a car show. And it's just, I don't know. I just kind of looked at my situation and the resources at hand. I said, this is a no-brainer. Like, this is something that is going to be a total blast to put together, and it'll benefit charity at the same time and create awareness. And that's how it was born. It's no more complicated than that.
On behalf of everybody in Arizona, we look forward to it when it happens. I'm not going to say if it happens, when it happens. And then, when it happens, of course. And then, of course, this fall, Fuel Fest.
This fall. Yes.
October.
And anybody listening, June 19th is the new date for the LA show at Irwindale, House of Drift. And it's going to be a great show. And if you already have a ticket, I mean, your ticket will be honored at the new date. So you don't sweat it. So come on out. It's going to be absolutely killer. And I can't wait to see the crowds out there, because everybody is starving to get back out there. And so I'm totally jacked, totally pumped. Fast 9 is releasing June 25th. So the following weekend. June 19th, actually, that's actually also Father's Day weekend. So, I mean, it's a perfect storm.
Look at
I hope
man.
Everybody comes out and it's going to be a great show.
You're
it's
pumped.
Be a lot of fun. I'm so pumped. I mean, it's like, talk about getting the rug pulled out from underneath you multiple times.
Yeah.
And then someone else jumping on your head. It's just like, oh man, this is unreal. Like, this is 2019 was going to be such a big year, and we were going to be doing this and this and this. And,
then 2020 hit. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we had to wait an extra year. So everybody who's been waiting, I appreciate your patience. We're all in this together, and it's going to be a great show, though. It's going to be a great show. And
21 is the 20 hangover so far, but it's going to wrap up, and then I will see you Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Barrett Jackson.
Thursday, Barrett Jackson, March 25th. Bunch of cool cars, always going through Barrett Jackson. I've already been looking at some of the listings myself. Not that I'm on the market, but I'm always window shopping, right? It's fun. It's okay to look.
Just looking. Yeah. Just looking.
So it'll be fun to get back out there. Good group of guys over there at the team, Barrett Jackson. Done a couple charity cars with them for Reach Out Worldwide in the last couple years, and cool to have their support and Jane and Wright Honda and everybody over there helping to make this happen. Just a really cool opportunity. And it's a sweet opportunity for somebody to take home this number 51 of 600 limited edition Type R's.
Sell it.
And
sell it. There you go. Sell it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, it's going to be worth quite a bit of money. And for somebody out there, it's also an opportunity for somebody to win a car that might not otherwise ever become available in their region.
100%.
Just going to leave that right there.
I want to thank you for coming on the Hard Parking Podcast.
Really appreciate talking with you, man. It's been a good time. I hope we get to do it again.
We'll do it again.
Right on.
I want to thank Cody Walker for joining the show. He's going to be back for a full conversation at some point in the next couple months. It's time for the Arizona ROWW of the Week. Sponsored by Higher Quality Detail out of Tempe, Arizona. They specialize in premium vehicle protection solutions and cosmetic customizations as your one-stop shop, ranging from basic detailing options through ceramic coating, paint correction, protection films, and more. Visit Ceramic Pro Arizona, one word, on Instagram, or Higher Quality Detail, also one word, that's HYER, Quality Detail, and get started looking your best today. Today's guest is Jerry Pacheco. He has a Civic Type R. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. So I wanted to get you on because you're one of the people I know with a Honda Civic Type R. And this week on Barrett Jackson, as I've mentioned a few times on the show, the Phoenix Yellow number 51 of 600 in the United States is going up for auction. So I thought it'd be kind of good to get another Type R owner on the show and kind of talk about your car. Let's start with, what year is yours? And I was parked next to you before, and I thought, is your car wrapped?
No, so I've actually owned, this is my second Type R.
Okay.
My very first one was a 2019 Type R. I did some minor bolt-ons to it. I had a sponsorship with Perrin Performance.
Okay.
So we did the intercooler. That was their first intercooler made for the Honda Civic Type R. And then they did a prototype with the exhaust. A couple months after I had done that, just changes in our household. We had to sell the car and get a new family car. And but I never lost hope that I would get another Type R. And I was very blessed this year, and not this year, 2020. Very blessed towards the end of the year, and found a nice Type R out in Atlanta, Georgia. Currently, right now, I'm actually in the process of getting it tuned by a local tuner here, Drama Tune. So we're doing some data logging on it and trying to see what power output it's going to be here showing here in the next couple weeks.
Okay, so I wasn't crazy then. You had a championship white one, correct? Or was it?
Yep, that was my very first one, and this one's the polished metallic. This one's a 2018, so very minor changes. The 19 had some updated infotainment system where it had the buttons, and there was another item that was addressed, which a lot of the 2017, 2018 owners experience kind of mesh grinding on the transmission. Mm-hmm. So that got addressed in the 2019, but I've been pretty thankful and lucky that my 18 does not have that issue. But yeah, had a championship white, now I have the polished metallic.
So you obviously really like the car a lot. What would you tell people? What would you tell people who kind of look at it and say, well, I don't know, it's a Civic at the end of the day. Is it really that good?
It absolutely is. One of the main things that I see out there being in the Type R communities, you see a lot of individuals that are expecting it to be a very quick drag car, and it's not. It's a track car. It's meant to be taken out to the track and do great timing around the lap. The transmission shifting is incredibly smooth. The engagement from the clutch is just phenomenal. I went from having a 2004 Civic Si with a stage 4 clutch, which I was really used to, that aggressive shifting, right. and I went to this Type R, and it was just night and day butter. It's just so incredibly smooth, but it definitely lives up to the hype of the Type R. It's a very quick, little fast car. You can, do your shopping. If you have a small family, you can go on little road trips. If you have pets, it does perfect for all that. And at the end of the day, you have kind of like that little race car where it's already done. If you're an enthusiast and you want to modify it, it has incredibly power gains that can come out of just doing simple mods and a tune. Or if you're satisfied just having it as a daily, it's amazing. It has 306 horsepower, and it'll get up and down the street to drop off the kids and get groceries just fine.
Pretty sure it broke some records when it came out too for front wheel drive cars. And I know this is what's hard for people to understand or to really appreciate. It's quicker than an NA2 NSX. So if you were to go out the box, it's faster than my car in stock form, and a lot of people don't realize that. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about the car also, your car specifically. So what all have you done to it? How are people recognizing it down the road? And then, what sort of things do you do? I see you at a lot of events, and I think you're associated with. Aren't you associated with 93AZ? Maybe not. One of the cars.
Absolutely. I start out with 93AZ, the import culture, back in 2015. Actually, that was the same year that Angelo has started the car club, and he started it with just a couple of friends. And I met some of the individuals outside of a grand opening of a hair salon. They were right next to it at the Boba Tea, and we just started talking, kind of went from there. And they invited me out, and kind of was history after that. And was fortunate to be a part of that car club, which has now grown into definitely a very close-knit family. If you ever see me outside, you'll see how we just laugh and give each other a hard time. And at the end of the day, it's just car enthusiasts being together and obviously wanting to motivate each other for continuously building our rides and for that passion that we have for vehicles. With my car, the previous owner had already done some very light modifications. He had put a Mishimoto intake,
nice,
done the Greddy DDR exhaust on it. He did the K-Tuner version 2 on it. So it came with some nice goodies, and I wanted to change it, obviously make it mine.
Right.
So when I got the vehicle, the first thing I did was I swapped out the Mishimoto intake and I put the PRL high volume intake, and they had just released their new intake charge pipe. So I grabbed that, and you pair it all together. So it meshes very nice. And then I went back and grabbed the pairing intercooler, kind of the same thing that we had done for my last Type R, picked that up and added it on there. And then I added the PRL front pipe because the Greddy DDR is not a full exhaust. It just kind of goes to that front pipe. And then from right there, it's still OEM. So now it's a true 3-inch exhaust. So one of the big things that I get a lot, the recognize are the wheels. I'm running some Motegi track light bronze wheels, and somehow the Type R with those wheels just pops, and I get recognized a lot of people throwing me on Instagram like, hey, I spotted your ride, you're looking clean. And then the other main difference that I've had, I haven't seen or really any other Type R here in the Valley with it, is just the yellow tinted headlights and fog lights.
Mm-hmm.
Something very minor, but with the polished metallic, the bronze wheels, that just pops again. Oh, so I was just gonna say that. So with those wheels and the yellow headlights, it gets a lot of attention on the road.
With a vehicle like that, when you have
Mm-hmm.
a hot, popular car, it's like you have to go the extra mile to kind of separate yourself visually and performance, but really more visually, so that you're just not another Civic Type R out there. And I can understand that coming from the NSX world. It's like the little things, and the worst thing you ever hear is, I saw one look just like yours, or was that you rolling down the street the other day? No, man, time to change some shit up.
Yeah, you nailed it. It's one of those things you want to stand out, and obviously having a Type R already, it stands out, and it's not a very common vehicle. And even though it's growing, you're starting to see more and more on the road, but it's still not something you see everyday driving. So just those little cosmetic details on the outside really make it pop and be even more unique to see on the road. It's not an easy thing. I mean, with my EP3, I tried to make it into the EP3 Type R because that was not sold here in the United States. So,
and what does that mean? Is that your previous, or what is EP3?
Yeah. So back in the SI hatchback, which started in 2002 and went to 2005, the Japanese code name for it was the EP3.
Got it.
And I fell in love with that little hatchback. It's very roomy and very spirited driving. So,
do you miss that compared to your current ride, or is it just that was really cool to have, but you're perfectly content with where you're at now?
Oh, I mean, power-wise, absolutely. I'm very happy with where I'm at. The EP3, even with the tuning and the motor swap, I only knocked out 220 horsepower out of that motor. And this one, I think right now, untuned, I'm in that range of probably 320.
Sure.
Maybe upscale 330, but it was fun to have but this is much more, I think, an everyday vehicle, especially for my case. I have a family, so it's nice to be able to take my wife and kids anywhere we want to go and not have to worry about trying to sit in the back of a hatchback, two-door hatchback. It's not very comfortable.
Yeah, and 330 is a nice bump over the stock 305 or 306 that the thing has. So that's pretty cool. So how can people get a hold of you if they want to follow you on Instagram at CTR Jerry?
Absolutely. CTR Jerry, add me, or if you're here in the local car scene in Arizona, you will always find me at the Cars and Coffee in Chandler. That's kind of a regular one I go to once a month. And then from here and there, you'll see me at some of the local car events.
Sounds good, man. Jerry, thanks for coming by.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I want to thank Jerry for joining the show. I'm trying to get as many of the Arizona people on for Arizona's Ride of the Week. I think that we have a pretty interesting car culture out here. It's pretty scattered, but it is interesting. It's not quite California, but we're close. There's a really good dynamic of having someone as big as Cody Walker, the diehard car guy, and Jerry Pacheco, a local car guy. Because everybody needs to be heard. Everybody has a story, and everybody's a good conversation as long as you give them an opportunity to talk a little bit about themselves and what they have going on in life. A lot of fun. So great time with both those guys. As Cody Walker said, do not sleep on Fuel Fest, June 19th. Also, We're going to get Fuel Fest out here. It just keeps getting delayed. So if you're listening to us and you're in Arizona, in the Phoenix area, it's going to happen. He said it's going to happen. It's going to happen. If you have any questions, comments, hit me up, hardparkingpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at NA2NSX or JTravels. That's JHAE_travels. Also on that whole Clubhouse thing, it's just J Finning. Follow me on Twitter, HardParkingPod. We do have a Teespring store, Hard Parking Podcast store on Teespring. The link is in the description if you want to buy any show swag. Guys, I need more YouTube subscribers. Look me up, Hard Parking Podcast or Hard Parking Media. Special thanks to Wright Honda in Scottsdale, Arizona. Higher quality detail, booster bath, 4-wheel online, tongue treats, rides sold, and Patreon business supporter, Kuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida. If you're in a position to support the show for as little as $3 a month, get access to all sorts of bonus material and some show swag. Patreon.com, Hard Parking Podcast. Or you can just tell a friend about the podcast. I can't grow until you tell the world how good the show is. So let's do this. Let's grow this thing together. Are you tired of blowing out your back at the bathtub while washing your dog or subjecting your canine to a water torture bath while leashed up to a post outside? Now there's a far more effective way to wash your pet while saving your back and keeping your dog happy. It's called Booster Bath, a portable bathtub on legs. Head over to boosterbath.com, one word, and pick one up. Available in 3 sizes, this tub system features a drain, a soap cubby, and water controlling wand. This tub conveniently breaks down to be stored when not in use. Want to save 10% on your first time purchase? Head over and sign up today to make that happen. Boosterbath.com. Are you tired of your dog losing its cool in a thunderstorm or fireworks? You might want to look at tongue treats. TongueTreats.com. High anxiety relief, pain relief, inflammation relief. It's a direct connection between the tongue and the brain. Doesn't waste time going down to the stomach, where it gets broken down, enters the bloodstream, then to the brain eventually. By then, little Izzy, my dog, has been hiding under the house for like 20 minutes. The Tongue Treat CBD strips provide rapid results for your pet with the right amount of CBD, which is not psychoactive. It's important to test and verify your pet is getting the proper dosage. A single strip should be enough. Have doubts? There's certified analysis from a lab available on the website. Think about it: efficacy and economy. Tongue Treats.